Devon is a county of England, reaching from the Bristol Channel in the north to the English Channel in the south. It is part of southwest England, bounded by Cornwall to the west, Somerset to the northeast, and Dorset to the east. The city of Exeter is the county town. 7 other districts of East Devon, Mid Devon, North Devon, South Hams, Teignbridge, Torridge, and West Devon are under the jurisdiction of Devon County Council. Plymouth and Torbay are each a part of Devon but administered as unitary authorities. Combined as a ceremonial county, Devon's area is 6,707 square kilometers and its population is about 1.1 million. Devon derives its name from Dumnonia, which, during the British Iron Age, Roman Britain, and early medieval was the homeland of the Dumnoni Brittonic Celts. The Anglo-Saxon settlement of Britain resulted in the partial assimilation of Dumnonia into the Kingdom of Wessex during the 8th and 9th centuries. The western boundary with Cornwall was set at the River Tamar by King Aethelstan in 936. Devon was constituted as a shire of the Kingdom of England thereafter. The north and south coasts of Devon each have both cliffs and sandy shores, and the county's bays contain seaside resorts, fishing towns, and ports. The inland terrain is rural, generally hilly, and has a low population density in comparison to many other parts of England. Dartmoor is the largest open space in southern England at 954 square kilometres, its moorland extending across a large expanse of granite bedrock. To the north of Dartmoor are the Culm Measures and Exmoor. In the valleys and lowlands of South and East Devon the soil is more fertile, drained by rivers including the Exe, the Culm, the Tyne, the Dart, and the Otter, as well as agriculture. Much of the economy of Devon is linked with tourism. The comparatively mild climate, coastline and landscape give rise to Devon as a destination for recreation and leisure in England, with visitors particularly attracted to the Dartmoor and Exmoor National Parks, its coasts, including the resort towns along the south coast known collectively as the English Riviera, the Jurassic Coast, and North Devon's UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, and the countryside including the Cornwall and West Devon mining landscape. History. Toponymy. The name Devon derives from the name of the Britons who inhabited the southwestern peninsula of Britain at the time of the Roman conquest of Britain, known as the Dumnoni, thought to mean deep valley dwellers, from Proto-Celtic *dubnos, deep. In the Brittonic, Devon is known as Welsh, Dyfnaint, Breton, Divnant and Cornish, Dunans, each meaning deep valleys. William Camden, in his 1607 edition of Britannia, described Devon as being one part of an older, wider country that once included Cornwall, that region which, according to the geographers, is the first of all Britain, and, growing straighter still and narrower, shooteth out farthest into the west, was in antient time inhabited by those Britons whom Solinus called Dumnoni. Ptolemy Damnoni, for their habitation all over this country is somewhat low and in valleys, which manner of dwelling is called in the British tongue Dan Munith, in which sense also the province next adjoining in like respect is at this day named by the Britons Dyfnant, that is to say, low valleys. But the country of this nation is at this day divided into 2 parts, known by later names of Cornwall and Denshire. William Camden, Britannia. The term Devon is normally used for everyday purposes, e.g., Devon County Council, but Devonshire continues to be used in the names of the Devonshire and Dorset Regiment, and the Devonshire Association. One erroneous theory is that the shire suffix is due to a mistake in the making of the original letters patent for the Duke of Devonshire, resident in Derbyshire. However, there are references to Devonshire in Anglo-Saxon texts from before 1000 AD, which translates to modern English as Devonshire. The term Devonshire may have originated around the 8th century, when it changed from Dumnonia to Devonshire. Human occupation. Kent's Cavern in Torquay had produced human remains from 30–40,000 years ago. Dartmoor is thought to have been occupied by Mesolithic hunter-gatherer peoples from about 6000 BC. The Romans held the area under military occupation for around 350 years. Later, the area began to experience Saxon incursions from the east around 600 AD. Firstly as small bands of settlers along the coasts of Lyme Bay and southern estuaries, and later as more organized bands pushing in from the east. Devon became a frontier between Brittonic and Anglo-Saxon Wessex, and it was largely absorbed into Wessex by the mid-9th century. A genetic study carried out by the University of Oxford and University College London discovered separate genetic groups in Cornwall and Devon. Not only were there differences on either side of the Tamar, with a division almost exactly along the modern county boundary, but also between Devon and the rest of southern England. This suggests the Anglo-Saxon migration into Devon was limited rather than a mass movement of people. The border with Cornwall was set by King Aethelstan on the east bank of the River Tamar in 936 AD. Danish raids also occurred sporadically along many coastal parts of Devon between around 800 AD and just before the time of the Norman conquest, including the silver mint at Leaderford de Lidford in 997 and Tynetana in 1001. Devon has also featured in most of the civil conflicts in England since the Norman conquest, including the Wars of the Roses, Perkin Warbeck's Rising in 1497, the Prayer Book Rebellion of 1549, and the English Civil War. The arrival of William of Orange to launch the Glorious Revolution of 1688 took place at Brixham. Devon has produced tin, copper, and other metals from ancient times. Devon's tin miners enjoyed a substantial degree of independence through Devon's Stanary Parliament, which dates back to the 12th century. The last recorded sitting was in 1748. Economy and industry. Like neighbouring Cornwall to the west, historically Devon has been disadvantaged economically compared to other parts of southern England, owing to the decline of a number of core industries, notably fishing, mining and farming. Agriculture has been an important industry in Devon since the 19th century. The 2001 UK foot-and-mouth crisis harmed the farming community severely. Since then, some parts of the agricultural industry have begun to diversify and recover, with a strong local food sector and many artisan producers. Nonetheless, the dairy industry is still suffering from the low prices offered for wholesale milk by major dairies and especially large supermarket chains. The attractive lifestyle of the area is drawing in new industries which are not heavily dependent upon geographical location. Dartmoor, for instance, has recently seen a significant rise in the percentage of its inhabitants involved in the financial services sector. The Met Office, the UK's national and international weather service, moved to Exeter in 2003. Since the rise of seaside resorts with the arrival of the railways in the 19th century, Devon's economy has been heavily reliant on tourism. The county's economy followed the declining trend of British seaside resorts since the mid-20th century, but with some recent revival and regeneration of its resorts, particularly focused around camping, sports such as surfing, cycling, sailing and heritage. This revival has been aided by the designation of much of Devon's countryside and coastline as the Dartmoor and Exmoor National Parks, and the Jurassic Coast and Cornwall and West Devon Mining Landscape World Heritage Sites. In 2004, the county's tourist revenue was £1.2 billion. Unique experiences in Europe are particularly concentrated on food and drink, the southwest coast path and water sports, including sea view restaurants in northwest Devon, surfing there, indoor and outdoor folk music festivals across the county and sailing in the 5-mile hill-surrounded inlet at Salcombe. Incomes vary significantly, and the average is bolstered by a high proportion of affluent retired people from across Europe's major cities. particularly from the rest of England. Incomes in much of the South Hams and in villages surrounding Exeter and Plymouth are above the national average. The claimant count of the unemployed and people receiving very low incomes is close to the national average of 4.5% in Torbay, Plymouth and Exeter. Their exurbs and rural villages contribute to low unemployment in the administrative county as shown below. The table also shows the population change in the 10 years to the 2011 census by subdivision. It also shows the proportion of residents in each district reliant upon lowest income in, or joblessness benefits, the national average proportion of which was 4.5% as at August 2012, the year for which latest datasets have been published. It can be seen that the most populous district of Devon is East Devon, but only if excluding Torbay, which has marginally more residents, and Plymouth, which has approximately double the number of residents of either of these. West Devon has the fewest residents, having 63,839 at the time of the census. Transport. Rail. The key train operator for Devon is Great Western Railway, which operates numerous regional, local and suburban services, as well as intercity services to and from London Paddington. Other intercity services are operated by Cross Country, to Manchester Piccadilly, Edinburgh Waverley, Glasgow Central, Dundee, Aberdeen and Penzance, and South West Trains, operating express services between London Waterloo and Exeter St David's on the West of England Main Line. All Devon services are diesel-hauled, since there are no electrified lines in the county. The Exeter to Plymouth Railway of the LSWR needs to be reopened to connect Cornwall and Plymouth to the rest of the UK railway system on an all-weather basis. There are proposals to reopen the line from Tavistock to Barralston for a through service to Plymouth on the night of the 4th of February 2014, amid high winds and extremely rough seas. Part of the sea wall at Dawlish was breached, washing away around 40 metres of the wall and the ballast under the railway immediately behind. The line was closed. Network Rail began repair work and the line reopened on the 4th of April 2014, in the wake of widespread disruption caused by damage to the main line track at Dawlish by coastal storms in February 2014. Network Rail are considering reopening the Tavistock to Oakhampton and Exeter section of the line as an alternative to the coastal route. Devon Metro. Devon County Council has proposed a Devon Metro scheme to improve rail services in the county and offer a realistic alternative to car travel. This includes the delivery of Cranbrook Station, plus 4 new stations as a priority. Air Exeter International Airport is a base for Flybe. Destinations include London, Manchester, Dublin, Paris and Amsterdam. Geography and geology. Devon straddles a peninsula and so has 2 separate coastlines, on the Bristol Channel and Celtic Sea in the north, and on the English Channel in the south. The southwest coast path runs along the entire length of both, around 65% of which is named as Heritage Coast. Before the changes to English counties in 1974, Devon was the 3rd largest county by area and the largest of the counties not divided into county-like divisions. Since 1974, the county is ranked 4th by area amongst ceremonial counties and is the 3rd largest non-metropolitan county. The island of Lundy and the reef of Eddystone are also in Devon. The county has more mileage of road than any other county in England. Inland, the Dartmoor National Park lies wholly in Devon, and the Exmoor National Park lies in both Devon and Somerset. Apart from these areas of high moorland, the county has attractive rolling rural scenery and villages with thatched cob cottages. All these features make Devon a popular holiday destination. In South Devon, the landscape consists of rolling hills dotted with small towns, such as Dartmouth, Ivybridge, Kingsbridge, Salcombe, and Totnes. The towns of Torquay and Paynton are the principal seaside resorts on the south coast. East Devon has the first seaside resort to be developed in the county, Exmouth, and the more upmarket Georgian town of Sidmouth. headquarters of the East Devon District Council. Exmouth marks the western end of the Jurassic Coast World Heritage Site. Another notable feature is the coastal railway line between Newton Abbot and the Exe estuary. The red sandstone cliffs and sea views are very dramatic, and in the resort's railway line and beaches are very near. North Devon is very rural with few major towns except Barnstaple, Great Torrington, Bideford and Ilfracombe. Devon's Exmoor coast has the highest cliffs in southern Britain, culminating in the Great Hangman, a 318 metres Hog's Back hill with a 250 metres cliff face, located near Combe Martin Bay. Its sister cliff is the 218 metres Little Hangman, which marks the western edge of coastal Exmoor. One of the features of the North Devon coast is that Bideford Bay and the Heartland Point Peninsula are both west-facing, Atlantic-facing coastlines, so that a combination of an offshore wind and an Atlantic swell produce excellent surfing conditions. The beaches of Bideford Bay, along with parts of North Cornwall and South Wales, are the main centres of surfing in Britain. Geology: a geological dividing line cuts across Devon roughly along the line of the Bristol to Exeter line and the M5 motorway east of Tiverton and Exeter. It is a part of the Tees-Exe line, broadly dividing Britain into a southeastern lowland zone typified by gently dipping sedimentary rocks and a northwest and upland zone typified by igneous rocks and folded sedimentary and metamorphic rocks. The principal geological components of Devon are the Devonian, the culm measures, and the granite intrusion of Dartmoor in central Devon, part of the Cornubian batholith forming the spine of the southwestern peninsula. There are small remains of pre-Devonian rocks on the South Devon coast. The oldest rocks which can be dated are those of the Devonian period, which are approximately 395 to 345 million years old. Sandstones and shales were deposited in North and South Devon beneath tropical seas. In shallower waters, limestone beds were laid down in the area now near Torquay and Plymouth. This geological period was named after Devon by Roderick Murchison and Adam Sedgwick in the 1840s and is the only British county whose name is used worldwide as a geological time period. Devon's second major rock system is the culm measures, a geological formation of the Carboniferous period that occurs principally in Devon and Cornwall. The measures are so called either from the occasional presence of a soft, sooty coal, which is known in Devon as culm, or from the contortions commonly found in the beds. This formation stretches from Bideford to Bude in Cornwall, and contributes to a gentler, greener, more rounded landscape. It is also found on the western, north and eastern borders of Dartmoor. The sedimentary rocks in more eastern parts of the county include Permian and Triassic sandstones, bunter pebble beds around Budleigh Salterton in Woodbury Common, and Jurassic rocks in the easternmost parts of Devon. Smaller outcrops of younger rocks also exist, such as Cretaceous chalk cliffs at Beerhead and gravels on Holden, plus Eocene and Oligocene ball clay and lignite deposits in the Bovey Basin, formed around 50 million years ago under tropical forest conditions. Climate: Devon generally has a mild climate, heavily influenced by the North Atlantic Drift. In winter, snow is relatively uncommon away from high land, although there are exceptions, such as the snowfalls of February 2009 and December 2010. The county has warm summers with occasional hot spells and cool rainy periods. Winters are generally mild, and the county often experiences some of the mildest winters in the world for its latitude, along with Brittany and Vancouver, Canada, with average daily maximum temperatures in January approaching 10 degrees Celsius. Rainfall varies significantly across the county, ranging from over 2,000 mm on parts of Dartmoor, to around 750 mm in the rain shadow along the coast in southeastern Devon and around Exeter. Sunshine amounts also vary widely. The moors are generally cloudy, but the Shea Coast from Salcombe to Exmouth is one of the sunniest parts of the UK. In summer, easterly or southeasterly winds mean the area around Saunton and Croyd often records among the highest temperatures in Britain, exceeding 32 degrees Celsius about twice every decade. Similarly, with westerly or southwesterly winds and high pressure, the area around Torbay and Tainbridge will often be very warm, with long sunny spells due to shelter by high ground. Ecology. The variety of habitats means that there is a wide range of wildlife. A popular challenge among birders is to find over 100 species in the county in a day. The county's wildlife is protected by several wildlife charities such as the Devon Wildlife Trust, a charity which looks after 40 nature reserves. The Devon Birdwatching and Preservation Society is a county bird society with a long and distinguished history dating back to 1928. It is dedicated to the study and conservation of wild birds, looks after several areas, such as B. Sandley. There is also the RSPB, which has reserves in the county, as well as English Nature, who look after several reserves such as Dawlish Warren. The botany of the county is very diverse and includes some rare species not found elsewhere in the British Isles other than Cornwall. Botanical reports begin in the 17th century, and there is a Flora Devoniensis by Jones and Kingston in 1829. And a Flora of Devon in 1939 by Keble, Martin and Fraser. There is a general account by W. P. Hearn and others in the Victoria History of the County of Devon, Volume 1, pp. 55 to 130, with map. Devon is divided into two Watsonian vice-counties, north and south, the boundary being an irregular line approximately across the higher part of Dartmoor and then along the canal eastwards. Rising temperatures have led to Devon becoming the first place in modern Britain to cultivate olives commercially.